Hello YouTube. Well, I just uploaded a video with my thoughts about Daenerys' sacking of King's Landing in Season 8, Episode 5 of Game of Thrones. But there are several other things going on in that episode that might be worth talking about. But if I had done that in that video, it would have been like crazy long. So here I am with another video about Season 8, Episode 5 of Game of Thrones. The first thing we see in this episode is Varys sitting writing letters to presumably the Lords of Westeros, telling them about Jon's true identity and that he is like their rightful king, not Daenerys. And one of his little birds come in and says that Daenerys had not eaten the food. So, and we can suspect that Varys tried to poison Daenerys. Later in the Tyrion tells Daenerys about Varys' schemes, and Daenerys sends Unsullied to arrest him. This whole thing feels very rushed to me. I mean, Varys is this master schemer who have kept conspiracies going for years, and now he's suddenly caught red-handed immediately. This could be on purpose to show that this intrigue is a desperate move on his part, or maybe just the creators of the show wanted to end his plotline quickly. One thing that I'm a bit curious about, though, is when the Unsullied are coming, we see Varys quickly hiding a few rings and stuff. And I don't know why he hid those rings, but maybe the spider have spun one last net? We'll have to see. But then the Unsullied take him to Daenerys. Tyrion tells him that it was Tyrion who told Daenerys, and Daenerys burns him alive. Now, the next thing that we see as a very important part of this episode is Tyrion is still desperately trying to save the people of King's Landing. That he tries to convince Daenerys that if the people, or if the city rings the bells, they have surrendered and she won't need to kill them, basically. And this makes a lot of sense to me. We know that Tyrion have fought really hard to save the people of King's Landing once before. Yes, when he is on trial for the murder of King Joffrey, he says that he wish he had enough poison for everyone in King's Landing. But I don't think we should take that too seriously. He says that when he's really upset. But he almost died during the Battle of the Blackwater to save the people of King's Landing. It makes a lot of sense to me that he still wants to save them. Also, the talk between him and Jaime is very interesting and good. Jaime saved Tyrion once before. I'm not sure if Tyrion really cares that much about Cersei, even if he says he does. because there have never been any love lost between those two. But he knows about how Jaime feels for Cersei and used that to convince Jaime that he shall try to convince Cersei to surrender to save King's Landing. And we know that Jaime left Brienne to get back to Cersei, and that it also makes a lot of sense. Cersei is the love of his life. Cersei is his twin sister. He's very tied to her. And even if Jaime tells Tyrion that he never really cared much about the people of King's Landing, we know that's a lie. He sacrificed his honor to save the people of King's Landing when he killed King Aerys. So he cared about them. He cares about saving innocent lives. Now, how when Daenerys attacks the Iron Fleet and the walls with Drogon and just burns all the scorpions without them hitting Drogon or her even once, it might it feels a bit inconsistent with what we have seen earlier in this season and the season before it. Where scorpions have been pretty effective against dragons. But personally, I feel this is the way it should be shown. Flying, fire-breathing dragons are equal or similar to a modern air force on a medievalish battlefield. It should be a huge game changer, and very little anyone can do about it. I mean, even if I think most of us, logically, if we try to think about how we would deal with a dragon, something like a scorpion or ballista makes sense to most of us. But even if that weapon have the range and power to hurt the dragon, I think that the lack of accuracy, the low rate of fire, and the extremely bad mobility of medieval siege weaponry would make it a very one-sided fight in favor of the dragons. So I must say I dislike how they have shown fights between scorpions and dragons earlier in the show. I like this, how they showed it in this episode. One thing that have been a big disappointment for me this whole season, though, is the Golden Company. They have been built up. I mean, during almost the entire series we have heard rumors about the Golden Company. They never break a contract. They are 20,000 strong with infantry and the cavalry and even war elephants and so on, that have been built up again and again and again. And then Cersei's one of her big master plans before this was to get the Iron Bank on her side so she could hire them. And we don't. They just stand in front of the city as a small infantry force, and Daenerys dives down and kills them. Final. I don't really know why the showmakers even bothered to bring them in. They could have had a line of Lannister soldiers in front of the wall and do the same thing. So I'm pretty disappointed with how they have done the Golden Company part. Now, there are a few more things going on in this episode. We have Arya and Sandor Clegane infiltrating the city to... Sandor wants to kill his brother, the Mountain, and Arya wants to kill Queen Cersei. I said in my talk about episode 4, that when Arya chose to leave Gendry, she like shows her history and her lust for revenge in front of her future and love. And in this episode, Sander tells her that, no, go home, go away, you will die if you come with me, you don't want to end up like me, I've spent my whole life wanting revenge. And she does. So that's a pretty big thing. And then she sees how Daenerys just wipes out the city and Daenerys almost kills her. And in the end, when we see Arya ride out of there, I were really expecting them to end the whole episode with Arya saying Daenerys as the new name on her list. The showdown between the Clegane brothers, not much to say about it, actually. The Hound died killing his brother. It was pretty expected. And Cersei and Jaime dying in each other's arms beneath the Red Keep, it was also pretty much what we could have expected. So not much to say about it, I think. Now, I would like to make a few predictions about what I think will happen in the finale of all of Game of Thrones. First of all, I think Tyrion will die. Short and simple. He have failed in everything he have tried to accomplish for the last seasons. He has failed to save the people of King's Landing. He have lost the confidence of Queen Daenerys. He now sees that his attempts to put Queen Daenerys on the throne, to give the kingdoms a good ruler, well, she might not be a very good ruler. He have failed with everything he wanted, and I mean, when Varys picks him up after his last escape from King's Landing, Tyrion openly tried to drink himself to death. And now he have also failed Daenerys again, and she threatened to kill him if he ever did. So yes, Tyrion will die, I'm pretty sure of it. About the rest of it, I'm not too sure about the outcome, but I believe that Arya will want to kill Daenerys now after the Daenerys burned King's Landing. Sansa will want to take the throne. She have always wanted to be the queen. And Jon is also, of course, very disillusioned and upset about what Dany have done. So I believe that the last episode will circle around some kind of showdown between the Stark siblings and Daenerys. Again, between ice and fire. We'll see how it plays out. Bye.